comes to compost materials that, you know, I think we'll work with Compost Crusader to find a way to make that work.
Sorry, did you say public events? Is that what you said?
Yeah, for compost materials. So like they last year, or actually earlier this year, Conservation Committee and Josh actually spent quite a bit of time working with them. And Blue Ribbon?
Yeah, well, we didn't work with Compost Crusader.
Oh, it was just Blue Ribbon directly?
Yep.
To make compost available to the public, and then those that participated in the pilot received a reduced fee for that compost, is a way of kind of thinking about for the program. So it'd be kind of along that lines. It might look a little different, but we'll work with them on that. So we're proposing a 3-year agreement through 2021. So that's my summary for the service agreement. You have two items that you need to decide for the subsidy in relation to the budget here for the board. Right now, we are paying for the carts and owning the carts, so all pilot program participants, the village owns those carts. So moving forward, it's a question of does the village want to continue paying for the carts and owning them, or having the participants pay for them and own the carts. So that's kind of a decision for the board. And included in the service agreement that there would be no more than 200 added participants. So we would at least know for a budgetary perspective how much the budget for the carts if you want the village to continue paying for the carts. It's approximately up to $60 for a cart. So if you multiply that by 200, that's roughly, you know, just over $12,000 or so in carts. So to give you a budgetary number to think about for that. The other subsidy that you have to consider is the monthly premiums. Right now you're subsidizing $2.25 per month for each participant. So if you do the math on that, I don't have the
$2,700.
Thank you, $2,700, and that's for every 100 participants. So if you add 200 more, now you're up to 8,100.
What are we up to in this contract that you have in front of us? How many participants?
Well, for every year we max at 200, so we can have no more than 300 in 2019. If we get up to 300, that means for 2020 you can have no more than 500, etc. So does that make sense?
200 more per year?
Per year, yeah.
So
Correct.
There are already 100 carts in circulation, so that's where it's good.
So you do that, then 300, then 500, then 700?
Correct. Those are the maxes
This is
for the 3 years. Correct. So you can see though how that can start to escalate. I worked with Josh on some projected savings based on the reduction of the tipping fee when it comes to the fact that there's materials that used to go in the refuse collection that is now going into the organics collection. So that math ends up coming out to about $1,440 per 100 participants. So if you didn't want to do a $2.25 subsidy but felt you still wanted to do a monthly premium subsidy, I just wanted to throw an option of $1.20 per month subsidy as another option if you wanted to consider.
Just so I understand for costs when you calculate them, that was just the tipping fee. It's not like the staff movement of the, it's the savings was just because of the poundage and how we pay by pound or whatever.
Yeah, and so I mean, we call it a subsidy, but you could find another term that would represent it as it's a reflection of something that used to be in the tax levy services that's now being privatized. So that's the savings.
Yeah. So really your options for the carts are do you want to own the carts and pay for the carts, or do you want the participants to pay for the cart and own the cart? For the monthly premium, it's either keep it at $225 a month. Based on our calculation, you could drop it to $120 a month per participant, or you could decide no monthly premium subsidy at all.
Or anything between.
Or anything between. Right.
Trustee Carpenter.
Did you find in the pilot program that the cost of the carts were challenging for people who were interested in participating, or was that not a big deal?
For the carts themselves, or just to participate in the program in general? Because the village paid for the carts, so that was not a cost that any of the participants had to accrue for the first 100.
Right, But I mean, I guess going forward, I guess what are your thoughts as far as transferring that cost to the resident?
Yeah, I mean, that would be, we talked with Compost Crusader, they're open to either doing it as a one-time fee on the first bill, or at least dividing it out like for the first year, so it's not like it's a $60 first-time cost that they could spread it out, but.
$5 a month. $5
Yeah, they do quarterly though, so it'd be like 15 per quarter or something like that, but, and then they would, because we gave them the specs, so they would purchase the carts and then work with our staff to make sure they get out, so. I think there'd be some, I mean, I can't speak for, everyone, but I think there would be some hesitancy for some people to participate if that were to happen. The thing that we don't know is out of 100, we know that we'd at least be able to keep the 100 people on the pilot program because they don't have to pay for the card, so.
What do you have in the current budget? The numbers that we have in front of us with our gaps, do we have all the money in for those carts?
Carts are factored in for the most part. Mark and I use just a slightly different calculation on that, but it's only like $1,000 a part. The monthly premium that is not factored in. So if you added the monthly subsidy, that is not factored into the budget.
So if we said we don't want to pay for the carts like we just did with recycling for $270-something thousand, that would be a reduction then. We would be saving in our column of saving.
That'd be correct.
Yep.
Can I ask you another question? So a pilot program to me is what we did with the parklets and the bike corral program, and then we run into this all the time, so I want to be clear. When does it stop? Because if we're entering into when does it become a program?
This is a program, right now.
It would be now, so we're going from pilot to program, and then just upping our program potentially every year so more participants can get it. So when that shift happens, it's big for me, because that means you're not piloting or you're really making a decision on, how you're gonna affect your budgets moving forward. Unless you want to take the program away, it's really hard to give a benefit and then take it away. So that was my first question. We had talked about cart size options. I have 3 questions, this is my second. Cart size, and in the RFP, just finding out how much the cost difference was for the service of the larger versus the smaller. Did we get that information back?
That was in the context of yard waste, I think I understood.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that was a different.
Don't they have 2 sizes for this, or no? Or maybe it was yard waste. Okay, never mind, thank you so much. And so we only have 1 size per it.
Correct.
Thank you.
35.
32 gallon.
Yeah, 32 gallon.
32 gallon. Okay, and then was this bid?
Yes, we
Okay.
only received 1 bid. We reached out to 4 people to inquire and only 1 person submitted a proposal.
And is it because of our size? So, meaning, because we went from we have a very small pool right now,
Yeah.
what is your interpretation of, could that?
Well, why we only received 1 proposal? I think that's part of it, is that, right now we've only 100 people part of it. I think, like I heard from Waste Management, they just said right now is not the right time for them to look into getting into the program. They just sent me a letter just stating that.
Okay.
The other thing is we did include, that you can see in any of our open public materials or the RFP that Compost Crusaders right now doing the pilot program. So I don't know if any vendors felt already that, they had an advantage because they are doing the pilot program. That's all guess on my end, just not sure.
I mean, there's also, nobody else is doing this currently.
I was just gonna ask that,
Yeah,
that's my
so-
second part, is there anyone, any of our neighbors?
No.
Okay.
No.
And no other vendors are providing the services with it.
Right. Yeah, the other 2
They just
that I
are.
reached out to, it was just really a kind of a shot in the dark.
I mean, the yard waste is
Only
one.
1.
Yeah, but the food scraps, you need a special permit for that. And as far as I know, in the region, she's the only operator.
And then does any of our neighboring communities also offer this pilot program?
Yeah, well, East Milwaukee's kind of doing a pilot program right now. They actually started right before we did. We kind of learned from them. They're still doing a pilot program, but that's the only other neighbor. There's been a few Whitefish Bay folks that have called me since we started the program. wanting to set up something similar in Whitefish Bay. I haven't heard them starting yet, but I know there's been interest.
So in that context, maybe this year isn't the right year, but I plan to vote for this program as long as the costs don't, they match what I think, but for a while, and it makes sense to broaden that pool. So even if we provided this on our contract for Whitefish Bay, maybe they don't all have to, maybe they just join, we offer it to them if the municipality was open to that. If it would bring down the cost to get more participants, I just want to throw it out there for future years.
Okay.
And then as we go through future contracts, if there's any other provider, even if it's not just specifically for composting, but that includes composting in their service, can you keep us abreast? Because as we renew other contracts, it's going to be important to know if there's combinations of service and what our options are other than just single providers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say that I think probably at some point, players like Waste Management will get on board, but I think they're going to need to be nudged. You know, I think they're going to need to, it takes a lot of effort and expense to get that permit, and they're not going to do it unless there's some kind of
Big pool with Eastside, us, and Whitefish Bay. So
Right,
if we had a
exactly.
pool, then we might be able to get it done. Thank you. Just I support the program 100%. I do not want to purchase the carts moving forward. I think that's going to be a big cost that to replace, and I just let the community participate in the program. And if we see a dip in enrollment, then we might be able to change course. Trustee Amenta?
And how many people are on the waiting list?
We're like right now about 35 people that are on the waiting
Yeah,
list.
I'm a little questioning whether there's going to be that many people, especially who are going to want to join, especially if we have to pay for the cart. And I don't, you don't pay for any other cart. You know, you pay for replacement carts and you pay for yard waste carts for like $10. But I mean, garbage and recycling and organics to date have all been provided by the village. So I think it's a little bit of a departure. I think a $60 fee to get into this program is going to be prohibitive. I don't know that it's, I mean, we could try it, but my guess is we would get,
well,
I don't think we'd get very many people who would do it. I think the village, we should continue to subsidize the cart, and if we're concerned about costs, that we should reduce the subsidy to the $1.20 a month, which is the actual savings and tipping fees that were generated from the program. And I want to say too that I share mine with a neighbor on the alley, and we have no problem, 2 families. We don't ever get near filling the cart. So it's really, it's quite feasible to share between 2 or maybe even 3 households. So that does reduce the cost. But I just don't, I think the $60 would be a barrier to entry for a lot, because people also compost on their own. You know, some people have their own composting bins, or, you know, a lot of people I know said, I already compost, why do I need this? So.
Can you subsidize the cart? So in other words, that's not an option in front of us, but I mean, a $2 subsidy compared to a $10, you know, like, so $60 subsidy for a cart and $2 subsidy per is a big gap. I mean, it's a big difference. Is there a way to subsidize more than the you know what I'm saying, but not the full 60?
It's $2 a month.
Yeah, so
So
24.
it's 25, or I think the current subsidy works out to, I don't know, $25 over the year, let's say.
And the reason I say that is just so that we're not managing the carts, we're not owning the carts, we're not storing the carts, we're not that I don't know the program details, but I just know that I'd rather subsidize the cart purchase than subsidize managing the carts.
Okay. I mean, I don't see why not, but it's your choice as a board.
there is this question of if the carts aren't provided by the village, what role does the village have in the program at all, besides collecting bids? Do you see what I'm
Don't
saying?
we coordinate? Do
Well,
we not?
No. No, we
So
wouldn't
just
have any,
between us and it would be between the people getting the service and compost.
it'd be like getting milk delivered to your house.
No, I get that. That's a
The
great
village has
question.
no
I
role.
didn't think about that. Why are we needed? I mean, I understand the pilot to get the word out, but
Because it's part of our sustainability, it's part of our conservation
understand that.
committee goals. We're trying to reduce our waste stream, we're trying to be more conscious of the use of landfill space.
I'm just
There's
thinking
all
they want
kinds
one
of
partner to
reasons that we want
contract.
to be involved.
no, I get all that, I apologize, I didn't ask the right, specify. I just mean, I would assume they want one person to sign that contract so they know where they're, but maybe not, I didn't think about that.
Oh, you mean just using the village as sort of
Yeah,
like
like
a bargainer? Or,
Do we sign a contract with them?
The service agreement is signed, yeah, through the
yeah,
village.
but I don't really understand what you're,
Does
It's like solar.
the
What
resident
do you
sign a
contract?
contract with them? No.
what are you contracting if you're not buying the cart and you're not,
So if we were
adjusted?
subsidizing the fee and not buying the cart, wouldn't they, we're still we're,
oh yeah, I guess you could keep the monthly subsidy and ask the customer to buy the cart, but it's just a little strange, I think, to.
I just assumed because it's like solar, like when we had that buying program, it was more of awareness, more of, people feel, oh, the village has put, I don't know, it's rather than contracting like, I don't know, I just thought it was more of a.
Yeah, the village had no role